Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Thursday, August 11th, 2022. Yes, I'm high above Gillette Stadium where your New England Patriots will kick off against the G-Men tonight. No return of the Mac, no starters, no nothing. Bill has seen enough in practice and won't show what's been going on to the national stage. I guess they have a couple of back-to-back weeks. They have uh, practices throughout the week with opponents. Their next two opponents in the exhibition schedule. So he is going to let whoever play. I guess I have no idea. The names will be new to me as well. Ravens go for 20 of 21, I think. 19 of 20. Is Mr. Harbaugh takes no prisoners in preseason, so it'll be interesting to see that. That line had been dropping, by the way, got down to a flat 3. It's back to 3.5. Montreal Alouettes, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We had Andrew on yesterday. That line was high as 11 down to 9. So we're going to ask Andrew what the hell's going on over there. But we're bringing in our co-host, someone that's been, I don't want to say on vacation because he's never on vacation, but we haven't seen him in a few days, but we know he's been busy. So let's bring him on. From the Palm Tree State himself, the one and only Mr. Scott. Beam them up. Web. Yes, sir.
Mr. Jeff, I missed you. How are you, my friend? It's another warm, hot day, right? And holy shit, baseball's goofy as hell. So whatever, it is what it is.
You know, I was sitting here. We had a rough 8 days. We had a Good Friday, a split on Saturday. We made it to the weekend. Start 0-1 on Monday. Sitting there Tuesday with 3 games. And really, honestly, about to wave the white flag. We had the Braves first 5. And, you know, they score 4 runs. And miraculously, if I said this on the Twitter timeline, and I probably will forget it, but if you had a home run parlay of Pham, Arroyo, and Duran, you can now retire. They all hit solo homers in the first 5 against the Red Sox. So we lose that. And we had the Astros first 5, Scotty, down 4-0. Miraculously tied it 4-4. It was minus the hook, of course. Give up a solo shot in the top of the 5th, 5-4. So at this point, I'm just like, all right, that's it. We're shutting it down. Get 2 in the 5th. So we sneaked that one out. Then we had over 11 in the Rockies in Colorado. And Colorado scored 3 in the first and 9 in the third. So we could take a 2-1 record in the Tuesday. And yesterday we had the Cardinals run line, box to wire. They put up a 5-spot early and they didn't look back. So Thursday, travel day, short menu. Real tough to get into some spots. And I'm going to be honest with you. Astros team total over 5.5 at plus 125. The under was 145. And I was just staring at that. And they lost yesterday with Verlander on the mound, and they don't do that often. And I'm not a big fan and don't know much. I remember you talking about the Raggins guy. And I'm just sitting there. And instead, I go in, as much as I talk shit about my Red Sox, the White Sox are worse. The White Sox are worse, and I put it all over the timeline, and I sent it out to you. I sent it out to Riley. Listen, bases loaded, no outs. The meat of the order: strikeout, fly out. Thanks for playing. First and third, 1 out, don't score. Guy on second, 1 out, don't score. Guy on third, 2 outs, don't score. Then 1-0. They bring in Joe Kelly. They give up a 3-spot, 4-0. Thanks for playing. But, of course, they got to hit a 2-run homer to make it 4-2 and have 2 more guys on. They probably have about 35 guys left on base. But, listen, you're sitting there laughing and smiling. They're only probably a game out of the playoffs. They suck. They suck.
They wouldn't if they had a different manager.
You won't fire?
I'm just telling you, that would be a different team with another manager in charge of that team. Tony La Russa is, he might be a guy that can sit behind a desk and tell you all about X's and O's and all about baseball proper stuff. But to lead the team of young men that he's trying to do, he is a poor example of what a leader looks like. And he's not getting the best out of his team. He's not getting the best teamwork and commitment level from each guy to pull their weight. So other guys are trying to do too much. And, to be honest with you, it's a bad sign and it's a sad thing to watch happen because I think they're wasting some talented players. I still think they win in NL Central. You put another manager in there that can get somebody excited. That team will go crazy. They're a bunch of young guys. They're not old guys. And
I'm not buying that because they take the heart and soul out of there too. The one that I think makes them tick. Listen, I know Abreu's the glue, okay, but Tim Anderson's the one that makes them tick, and he's going to be out for a while now. Listen, yeah, and listen, we've been talking to it blue in the face. I mean, Riley's on when you're not here. We've caught La Russa numerous times sleeping in the dugout. If I told you this, I know you would sign up. I know Riley would. That if the Sox blow this thing up and they're in rebuild mode, and Cora has already came out and said, "Listen, guys, I'm not going to stick around for a rebuild mode. My son's 5. I got grandkids, yada yada yada. I'm not going to be managing for 20 years." How would Mr. Alex Cora next year look as the manager of the White Sox next year?
Well, I think he would do fine there. I mean, you've got to be able to talk to the guys and have a connection. I don't think Tony Russa has any connection to the players. I think he's older. I think it's a new generation. I don't think he knows how to motivate the guys, to stimulate them, to get them to play at their best. And second to not even each guy playing at their best, they've got to work off of each other's strengths and weaknesses. They got to work to score runs, and I don't think that they do that. That's what is unique about certain teams, like the Pirates, maybe, or like the Orioles and some of these teams that aren't very good, but they are working together and they are trying to get better as a team, not necessarily as a bunch of individuals. Whereas the White Sox, they're just going through the motions.
We have talked about this previous here numerous times, Scott. This time of year, it's about chemistry. It's about teamwork. It's about teams believing. And there's one team right now that believes in themselves, even though they traded their heart and soul, Trey Mancini, even though they traded their closer. The Orioles just don't quit. They don't quit. That's a team that believes. And they didn't break up. They stayed on path. The general manager said, "Hey, listen, guys, it is what it is. We got some good young talent, but we're going to try to get some more prospects, yada, yada, yada." They didn't quit, And I just look at that, and I look at a Red Sox team that, when you run out of starting pitching, eventually the middle, the bridges, the back end, it's going to get exposed. And unfortunately, that's what's happened to the Red Sox. Cora doesn't have any arms anymore back there. And you played the game. And I've coached. I haven't coached in the majors, but I have coached at the college level. I've coached at Legion. When you don't have a back end and your starters can't get you to the 5th or 6th, you run out of arms. You got to look to some. I don't have anyone to go to. What do you want me to do?
Well, when you're a manager in that situation, you've got to protect your players a little bit. You got to protect the organization or whatever the hell you bought into. But there isn't a whole lot you can do. I mean, you're not the guy out there throwing. You're not the guy out there hitting. And in a lot of ways, you don't want that guy to be out there doing. I mean, Alex Cora was a player, one of the best players in the world. He's not going to go out there and win a whole bunch of games for you. And, some of these managers that become managers are that way because of the way that they connect to players, the way they understand the game, and they understand how to get better productivity out of people. And that's what a manager does. That's how that works. You don't have to be the best player to be a good manager. So I like the idea that, to be honest, just get rid of Tony La Russa altogether, and anybody that can connect to the youth, the younger players, and they got stars on that team. I know you said about Timmy Anderson and stuff, but that center fielder, whatever the hell his name is, he's their best player. Lewis Roberts, their best player, and you got to get that kid. You got to get that kid playing like he's the best player. You also have to get the big home run hitter, Jimenez. You got to get him hitting home runs, right? Vaughn is playing pretty good. He's played pretty good all season, but they keep splitting him. They let him sit. They let him play. They let the kid in there and play. He's going to hit 30 home runs if you let him play. So I don't know what's going on with Yasmani Grandal. They paid a whole lot of money and to have him do nothing. So they need to get him fixed or get rid of him. These guys, they got to get things situated right. And they got some pitchers, man. Cease can pitch, and Giolito, he is on and off, and he's been off a lot more this year. Lynn's been off because he can't give. When he came back from being hurt. You've got a lot of things in play there, but they still have a bullpen. They still have good starting pitching. They still have a lot of things that will work for them. They need a manager that can put it all together because, to be honest, the Guardians, they didn't do anything at the deadline to make themselves any better than what they are today. The Twins did. They did a little bit. They got a little bit better. But the White Sox, you get their stars playing like stars, they're better. So as far as I'm concerned, Tony La Russa is the problem there, and until he's gone, I don't know how they fix that problem in Chicagoland.
It's been a few days since you and I talked. The Dodgers just keep rolling. Now, we talk about you want to be playing your best baseball in September to get into October. This team is a freight train, 10 in a row. They're not just winning. They're covering the run line every day, too. Don't worry about the minus 300. We got the run line covered. They're pitching. I keep talking to people. They're starting. We had a B2B on today, Rob, and I'm talking. I'm trying to be the naysayer here. Talking about the Mets and DeGrom and Max, and he's saying, well, I like the Mets offense, and I mean the Dodgers offense. I like the Mets pitching, and I'll take my two starters there. I'll take the timely hitting that they're getting, and their offense. The Mets offense has been pretty good of late as well, and I will take Diaz over anyone that the Dodgers are going to throw in the back end. But my question to you is, it's August 11th. It's a little too early to be peaking. And I know, they're the Dodgers, but what do you take of this run? I mean, I know we got the West one. They're going to be the number one seed. No one's going to catch them. Gives them time to get Kershaw healthy. I don't know what's going on with Buehler. Carrot Top's coming back. He's got one more rehab start, and then he's coming back. So the pieces are going to be put in place. If I asked you today to put your hat on one or the other, would you take the Dodgers and just roll with it, or are you still up in the air?
Well, since July 4th, the Dodgers have played 31 games. They are 27-4 in those 31 games. So let's just say it this way. I would prefer, if I was the manager of the Dodgers, to say, okay, shit, it's great we're winning these games. It's great that we're pulling away from San Diego, right? It's great that we're going to have the best record in the National League. It's great that all this stuff. But, man, I would love to be 27-4 running into the playoffs. Because here's what I think. I think that the Dodgers are not going to match up to the Mets. I think the Mets pitchers are going to be better than what the Dodgers are. Now, I can't tell you that I think that the Mets offense is better than the Dodgers, because that's stupid. But in a series like that, it's very rare that the offenses beat good pitching. It's rare that happens. It does, but not that often. I mean, Atlanta's offense was pretty good last year when it was in the World Series and stuff, and it came through some of those better pitching matchups. But they got good pitching too. They're all going to have good pitching, or they ain't going to get there. But the Dodgers are not going to match up. They're not. They're not going to match up to Scherzer. They're not going to match up to DeGrom. They might not match up to guys like Walker and those guys. The problem isn't that the Dodgers don't have arms, because Urias is a good arm and he's been there. But Anderson, he's a soft tosser. He's not. I know he's 14-1 or whatever. Gonsolin's 14-2 or whatever. But they're not aces, and there's a difference. I was thinking about this when you sent that message out, and I responded to it finally on Twitter regarding the 2 hits thing. When you're Dylan Cease and you're out on the mound, he's started, I think, 19 times so far, something like that. It's I got it right here. I can tell you what it is. It is there. So Dylan Cease, he started 22 games, and in the 22 games they've started, the White Sox are 17-5. That's an ace, right? I mean, that's when you get out there and you do what aces do. They keep their team in the game, even on games where that they're not doing so well. Today's one of those unfortunate games for him where he gave up 1 run and hell, he leaves behind. That happens, but it doesn't happen that often. But I mean, you're 17-5. That's what you're looking for. I mean, you want those guys to be like the guy for Valdez for Houston, right? Everybody talks about how good he is. He's 13-8 in the games that are started by the Houston. And so don't tell me that Cease on that team wouldn't be much, I don't know how much better you can be than 17-5, but that would be a phenomenal thing. Because like if you put Valdez on the White Sox, he might be 8, or he might be, what is it? He might be 11-10 or something instead of 13-8. So I think it matters, who you pitch for, what the scenarios are, what your teams do. And I think that's where the Dodgers are winning. The Dodgers are winning because they're getting good enough pitching. The offense is dominating. But when that offense that dominates is going to run into Max Scherzer, going to run into the Jacob deGrom, I think you're going to run it. And then you got a different kind of matchup problem then, right? Because, Walker and Bassett and what's the other guy's name? Carrasco. Those guys are all pitching as good as like Tyler Anderson is. So okay, the best pitcher they can put out there is Gonsolin or Anderson, or I guess Urias, if you want to call him their best. In terms of stuff, you can't tell me that Kershaw is going to be their best pitcher, because that's danger. I mean, now bullpen wise, the back end, I still got to go with the Mets. The middle, I would go with the Dodgers. But it's a matter of how many runs do the Mets need to score? 3? Do they need to score 2? You know what I mean? Like, is it going to be 2-0? Is it going to be 1-0? Is it going to be 2-1? So I like the Mets in better matchups right now, and especially because these things happen this way, Jeff. You see it all the time. They go up and they go down. They go up and they go down. They go on these big runs, and then all of a sudden they're gone, right? I mean, where was Milwaukee, last month at this time? 4 or 5 games ahead? Shit, now they're tied, if not, and feels like they're going to lose out to St. Louis now. And if they lose out to St. Louis, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. So you sit here and you look at that and you go, okay, well, it's a matter of how many games in a row you win, but when you win them too, and how many games you catch up. And that's why I think, the White Sox aren't out of it. And everybody's sitting there going, well, Baltimore. I get it. I 100% get it. And Baltimore's a great story. They're just not going to get there at the end.
before we dive in, and again, bullpen for the White Sox, it's just comical, and we'll blame the manager, whatever. But when the team doesn't believe, it doesn't believe. I mean, it is. Cease 2 hits, one was a solo homer, and there was a million left on base, and it is what it is. And again, now this is the exact opposite as the Dodgers. Dodgers 27-4 their last 31 since the All-Star break. The Yankees are like 13-20. Time to hit the panic button. I mean, I know the East is all set. Their number one seed is currently gone. If you're a Yankee fan, time to get nervous.
Well, you can get nervous. I think that this is a perfect time for the Yankees to fail, meaning that, okay, the Giancarlo Stanton's not in the lineup, hasn't been in the lineup. He's been hurt. The first baseman Rizzo hasn't been in the lineup. Carpenter just broke his foot, so they got issues, right? They got to figure out who they got in Montas because they don't have Montgomery anymore. But in a playoffs type scenario, if Montgomery is your number 2 pitcher, because maybe he is over Tyon or somebody like that, Cortez is probably their number 2 pitcher. But if you have to use Montgomery, does he match up with certain other pitchers? Well, Montas throws hard, and Montas, when he's on, can be as good as anybody. Montgomery, I don't think can, even though he shut out the Yankees the other day. But my thought is if you're a Yankee backer and you're supporting the Yankees, right now is a good time for them to be failing. And the reason is because they got plenty of time to get everything back together and get everybody hot again and get the lineup there. What I was kind of seeing was Donaldson showing signs of life that he hasn't showed much signs of life all season. And if you can get Giancarlo Stanton back and you can get the lineup actually working together, get Rizzo back in the lineup, which I think he's in the lineup tonight. You get these guys going again, or tomorrow, whenever they play. I think that you're going to see the Yankees start to click a little bit. Now, that all being said, they still got to pitch. My bigger concern with the Yankees is they used to have a lights out bullpen, and the lights out bullpens let them down here a little bit. So the back end has been a little bit weak, but that stuff is spurty, right? It comes and goes. And if they can be in that comes situation instead of goes situation come, into September, I think they're okay. But again, Cole's going to have to be on his game. Cortez is going to have to keep pitching. They're going to need Sai-Tai, like you call him, to pitch, to match up to Houston or whoever else they got to play. I'm not too worried about Minnesota and teams like that. Or to be honest, any of those American League Central teams. The truth of the matter is I think they're all soft. I think they're all weak. And I think the teams in the American League East are proving it. And I think that Seattle and Houston's proving it. If you put them in those divisions, they'd wipe them out. So it's because, they play tough games every night. And the guys in this Central play soft baseball. So I think that those teams are going to be wiped out right away. So it's going to be American League East versus American League West, and we'll see what happens to who comes out. But I think Houston has the best opportunity because of how they can hit and what they can do to move the ball around, how they can score runs, and you still got the teams are going to have to match up to Verlander and Valdez and those guys, and maybe they can and maybe they can't. I mean, Verlander's had a better season than Cole. So I don't think anybody on Seattle's going to match. Well, I shouldn't say that. Castillo is pretty damn good. So maybe he rides this big wave and gets real dominant, and he can match up to some of those guys too in the playoffs. So I think Seattle needs that center fielder back, or left fielder, whatever he is, Rodriguez. He needs to play. They need to get him back so that he's in full gear as they go forward. Because I don't think they're nearly as good a team without that kid. But baseball is baseball. Today's another day. And Raggins, by the way, his xFIP Sierra number for today was 655 and 650. I talked about him the other day, and I thought, well, he's okay, but he had that great game, and then all right, you had a great game. That means you're probably not going to have a great game today, and you're punching. But minus 300, man, come on.
As we were speaking, Vaughn leads off the ninth, of course, with a homer. Just again that little, Get
That
out of
kid's good, man.
no, is that Mo Vaughn or Greg Vaughn, right?
Hmm. He's that kid is a good player. If they just give him the chance to play on a daily basis, he's good. And I know I saw it all over the timelines and Twitter today. The people putting out there, and I don't know what you played at, so don't take this the wrong way. But I know everybody was betting Cease in the first 5 today, and my numbers showed, hey, Cease, the White Sox are of great value today over the Royals. But then my other numbers showed, okay, Greinke's off a game score 39. He's pitched pretty well against the White Sox in the past in terms of game score. And I know the White Sox are like 25th or something in hitting right now. So I'm like, I can't go back that. So I went and I backed Arizona. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on Arizona. They're down 3-2 right now. So anyway, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. And baseball's baseball. So.
No, I saw the first 5 thing. We grabbed the run line -109. Again, I had Houston team total over 5 and a hook plus 1.25 on the desk. So obviously the strain it got us here, but it is what it is. All right. 2 NFL preseason games. One, the whole world's on the Giants. The Giants opened up +2, now -3. The whole world knows how bad the Patriots are. Bill says, well, you're not going to see what we look like. We're going to start Frank Zappa or whatever his name is, and we're going to play all these guys that you don't know about. So, again, Giants -3. And the funny one is the Ravens, who, I think have won 19 out of 20 or some stupid 19 in a row in the preseason. I can just tell you what I've seen from the market. There's been money the whole day coming in on the other side on the Titans. It's now a flat 3 everywhere. Some juice towards, obviously, the Ravens. They're not going to go to 2.5. It's going to stick at 3 and under over a 32 and a hook there as well. So what you see and what you're liking, or how would you break it down? Obviously, I'm passing on both. I don't get a lot into preseason, more just a sit and watch, but I enjoy obviously following the market.
Well, I think the market, right? So this is these markets moved on the announcements and then the bets that the sharps made, right? So all these sharps come out and go, oh my God, you got to bet on Atlanta minus or plus the 2 points today because they're going to play all their starters. And the New York Giants are going to play all the starters, so you got to bet on the New York Giants. And then you got to play, this team's going to play all their starters, so you got to bet on them, right? That's what's going on. And that's exactly why this is happening. And that's why the numbers are moving. I guess I'm going to say it the way I need to say this. The NFL and this is where I'm going to differ with sharps. I like the idea that these guys think they know what they're doing and they get ahead of the market and they're doing this and doing that. And they have a specific reason why they want to play a certain way. And I get all of that stuff. And they have an edge, right? Okay, well, how long is the edge in an exhibition game? Okay, I'm going to play my starters. Well, if you read a little deeper into the Giants and Daboll, he's like, well, I'm going to play these guys, but they're not going to be in there. They're not going to play that long, but they're going to play. Okay, I just want to get a taste. I want them to get a taste. Okay, well, what is a taste? Maybe 2 series, maybe 3 series, and they're done. So what kind of edge is that? It depends on what kind of scoring that they can do within that time frame. Because the rest of the game, do they have an edge? Probably not. They probably don't have an edge the rest of the game. That's a brand new coaching staff. They got a lot of new players in there trying to figure out what's going on, just like New England's got a lot of things trying to figure out. So that makes it a lot more even. So if it's a lot more even, you want to take the points. You don't, you always say this, and you got to respect the opening number. Well, I don't know how much you want to respect the opening number, because what's the opening number based off of the NFL? Okay, well, I got to make home teams -2. We got to make, and set it at 33 or whatever. And if you think they're going to score, set it at 35 and see where it goes, and let the market set the number. So you see this a lot, right? So that's exactly what happened in the Atlanta game. There's sharps out there, and I'm not going to say the names of these people, but I get these notifications. This guy sent this play out, and he's a pretty popular guy, and he actually sent it out and publicized it on LinkedIn. Oh, we're on +2 on Atlanta. And it's like, well, why in the hell would you go bet on Atlanta? And then I start to read it further and further and further, and here it is. They're playing their starters, right? That's what they're doing. And I don't know, they might play the whole first quarter for all I know. Well, that's an edge, right? That can be an edge. So I sit here and look at it differently than that because I need to have a bigger reason than that to bet these games. Because you're talking about 3 series, and 3 series a lot of times at the most is probably 20 plays. At the most, that's 20 plays. And, and yards per play, if you're doing really good and you're getting, say, 5 yards per play, that's really good. And you got 20 plays, that's 100 yards. Well, how many points are you going to get in 100 yards? You're not going to get that many points. Maybe you score 1 touchdown. Maybe you get a field goal. Is that enough for you to really make a wager on the full game? Maybe a better way to wager that kind of information is play the first half. Play the first half where you think you have an edge. I like to play these games differently. So there's a couple of things that I like. The first thing is the continuity of quarterbacks within the system, because these are first team, second team, third team, and maybe some guys have fourth team, but most of your fourth time guys aren't going to be around. But anyway, third team guys, and if they're all there, then they know the offense. They can do whatever you want them to do right from the get-go. That's an edge because the other team probably has at least 2 guys that never been in that offense before or never been on that team before. So think about it this way. This isn't a game for tonight, but think about the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are starting Deshaun Watson, a quarterback, hasn't played for 2 years. So they make that announcement, and what happens? Boom. All of a sudden, everybody bets on Cleveland because Cleveland's going to win the game. Okay, I get that. And then they're going to play Jacoby Brissett. Okay, well, he's a below average NFL quarterback, which is great. So if he's playing the second team and you're going to place against another guy's second team, well, maybe that experience for him makes it better. Then they got Josh Jacobs and Josh Rosen. None of those 4 quarterbacks have been in this offense. None of those 4 quarterbacks were the Cleveland Browns last year. Not any of them. And they're playing Jacksonville this week, right? So Jacksonville just played a game. They already have the experience to be on the field. They didn't play their starters, but guess what they're doing? They're playing their starters too. NTN is playing. The running back is going to play in this game. The quarterback's going to play. They want to get a look at what they actually have today, and it's a home game off of a blowout. I shouldn't say a blowout. A home game off of a very poor performance. Usually in these type of games, that's a perfect scenario to be betting on. You will not see me be betting on the Cleveland Browns under these circumstances because they're going to play their starters and they're going to play a guy who hasn't played quarterback in 2 years. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. I will be all over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm just waiting to see if it goes to a point where Cleveland actually goes to -1 or -2, because I'll take Jacksonville in the points because at bookmaker right now I think it's a pick 'em. You see it anywhere else different than pick 'em 0?
Let me get your latest number here. I got Pick'em. I got Cleveland 1.5 on the Vegas Strip and 1 at William Hill Circus. He says, I'm just going to make a suggestion to you right now. If you are going to play Jacksonville, if it was me, I'd be playing it right now or tonight. I got a sneaky suspicion, just a suspicion, the hammer's going to come down somehow, some way. I mean, this Cleveland is making a mockery of the Deshaun Watson thing. And I think they're just rolling, saying that he's starting. I mean, he's practicing with the ones. He's ready to, and it's not setting well. So, hammer drops tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And next thing you know, Jaguars are -2.5 or 3, Scotty.
Well, I'm saying, I see at Bookmaker, it's Cleveland Browns pick 'em minus 119, which tells me it's getting ready to go to minus what, one, something like that. So I'm kind of waiting to see what happens there because I don't want to, so if it doesn't matter. I mean, whatever, that 1 point probably doesn't matter too much. But anyway, I think that's the way to bet these games. I don't think so. I know that I'm going against the Adam Chernoffs and these guys out there that are telling you got to go bet these games as soon as you get this. I know I'm doing that, and I'm just going to tell you I don't care. Those guys know a lot, but they don't know everything, just like I don't know everything. And if you're going to sit here and you're going to go make decisions about a full game because you got guys that are going to play for 100 yards of a game, you're full of shit. You just are. It's just the way it is. So I just don't think that's right. Now, the second thing is the other spot that I kind of liked, and it's tomorrow too, is the New York Jets, right? So the New York Jets, they're in a pick'em, and they're in a pick'em against who are they playing? They're playing the Eagles, right? So again, you go over to the matchups, and you look at the Jets. So the Jets have they're there. They got Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Mike White. All right. So all quarterbacks that have played and started NFL football games. But they're all three quarterbacks that were with the Jets last year. All three of them. So they all know the system. So they can go in and play, do whatever they want. The other part of that is if you go to well, I guess I should tell you who the quarterbacks are for Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts, Gardner Minshew, which is kind of scary because he's a pretty good backup quarterback. But you got Carson Strong and Reed Stennett. Neither one of them played in the NFL before. Those are behind Gardner Minshew. And Gardner Minshew might be out of the game before the second quarter's over. So then you got the whole second half of guys that never played football before for a professional level. And then when you go down and you want to look at this, Philadelphia, for example, in the last year, they played 3 games, lost 2, tied 1. The year before that, they played 4. So I just add them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 losses and 2 wins and 1 tie in the last 3 years. They just don't care about the preseason. They don't care about covering spreads. They don't care about scoring points. They don't care about any of that stuff. So the Jets are all about, hey, look at us. We're all, carrying some momentum here. Salia is trying to build something there. They're trying to get this quarterback ready to go. So I like the Jets. I like the ability, the spot here for the Jets against a team that doesn't care whether they win these games or they lose these games. And they're already set at first string and second string in the quarterback spot anyway. And the Jets have big advantages when it comes to the back half of the game when the Eagles are putting out there guys you never heard of before. So those are 2 spots that I think are definitely plays. And regarding tonight's games, I know what you said about Bill, and I know he's been hiding stuff and he's doing this. He doesn't give a shit, and they're not playing their starters and all that stuff. And New York is, well, how good is New York even with their starters? What kind of a team do they really have? And I think maybe that's a little bit of what they're going to find out. But I would also tell you that they find that stuff out a little bit more when it comes to the practices. So I like the idea that when you're looking at this matchup, you're looking at, let me go back there. Bill Belichick last year in the preseason, they scored 22 points in the first game. They scored 35 points in the second game and 22 points in the last game. I think they're going to go out and score points. I think they're going to go, and it doesn't matter who's playing. What's Hoyer, right? Hoyer is the backup quarterback there. That guy's been there forever. He could run that stuff in his sleep. He knows what they're doing, but I think they're also going to be probably a little different than what they had been. Mac Jones, Brian Hoyer, and you talked about the Zappy kid, right? He's only one of the best quarterbacks in terms of arm strength and how many yards he threw for out of Western Kentucky last year. He's a great player. He's a good quarterback. Now, I don't know what kind of NFL quarterback he's going to make. You say that about Jared Stidham and all that kind of stuff, and he doesn't always look good. But I think this kid's going to get some opportunity. But I think people will be surprised at how good that quarterback is in theory. You can sit here and say that all you want to, but until they go out and do something with it, it's that way. And then the Giants, they're going to run out there. Daniel Jones, and then Tyrod Taylor, who hasn't been with this team, and Davis Webb, who hasn't been with this team. So I think you take the points, and I think you take New England. And on the other game, when it comes to Baltimore, I get it. Everybody's going, well, they're not going to win. I think they've won 18 straight games or something like that. Can they win 19 or whatever it is? And the truth of the matter is, it depends on what they want to do. If they want to go win, they're going to have the opportunity to go win. The only thing is again, this is one of those games where you got to go and say, well, what's the motivations here for Tennessee? Does Tennessee really want to go out there and play inspired football? Well, do you know what Tennessee has done in the preseason under Vrabel? I'm getting ready to tell you. Tennessee. Last year they were pretty decent, right? Last year they won 23-3, then they won 34-3, and then they got beat. So that was their only winning year under Vrabel. The only one. Every other time it's not even close. 1-2, 0-4, 1-4. So they've won 5 games, and 2 of them are last year. They've won 5 games in 5 years, and 2 of them were last year. So, okay, we know Harbaugh does, but the reason that it comes this way is because Harbaugh went out and said he said, well, what's his name's not going to play, whatever his name is, the quarterback. What the hell? He's right there. Jackson. He's like, Jackson's not going to play. Okay, well, that's great that Jackson's not going to play. He missed 5 games last year. And to a certain degree, when he missed those games and Tyler Huntley came in, they were like, we want Tyler Huntley anyway. We want him to play. So then they got Brett Hundley and Anthony Brown, all guys that are going to be very similar to that. They're not going to miss a whole lot. Sure, they're going to miss 2 or 3 other starters on a team, but do they want to win the game? John Harbaugh wants to win every game he plays. So it's not my job to determine when that streak loses. So you bet as long as you can. What's the number 3 now, right? I got -3, -125 right now at bookmaker. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, what you don't want to do in preseason, and this is another one, what you don't want to do in preseason is you don't want to bet favorites that are over 4. So if you bet them over 4.5, 5, that's when you can. They a lot of times will win the game. They just don't cover the spread. So dogs in the preseason over the last 5 years are 54%. 54. Okay, sure. 54 is still winning money because you need to be 52.10 or something, whatever it is, that winning percentage to break even at -110. So if you're 54, you're eking it out, right? And if you're high volume, maybe you're making a little bit of money on that. So a dog is the right side to go as many times as you can play it, but the dog, or especially as a favorite, if you're a favorite over 4, you don't really want to be betting that, and because the truth is that the dogs win at more like 58, 59% when it's that type of a number. So I think that in terms of what I'm looking at, I don't agree with all these line moves. I understand the line moves. I just don't necessarily buy in. If you want to tell me the Atlanta Falcons one means something to you, I can probably believe that more than I can the other ones. But do you know what Atlanta's record is in the preseason? Atlanta's record in the preseason, just to give you an idea of where they stand. Where'd the Falcons go? They should have been right up here in the front. There they are. The Atlanta Falcons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. They're 1-17. One win in 17 losses. And now you're going to go, oh, well, they're going to play all their starters. Does it matter? Seriously, does it matter? If you're 1-17 in all these games in the preseason, that means you don't care about the preseason. And then now everybody goes, oh, we got to go bet on them because, okay, they act like they want to win the game. And then the Lions on the other side, okay, well, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They're 3-14 in the preseason. And the 3 wins that they got came 3 years ago, 3 and 4 years ago. Okay, well, neither one of these teams want to win. So, okay, you're going to tell me that that it's important for the new coach and everybody in Atlanta that they're going to play their starters and so forth. Okay, I get it. That would be the only one that would make sense to me because neither one of these teams like to play these games in the first place, and maybe that's enough to make a difference in the whole game in that scenario. Otherwise, I sit here and go, great. Your starters are going to play for 2 series, 3 series, and then they're going to go away. They're going to gain 100 yards and be done. That's the way I look at it.
Just don't play. Period. Why don't you just take your money and donate it to a charity? Why don't you do that too?
I'm good with that too. I 100%. But I do think
it makes 0 sense to go out there. I mean, when I was listening to the Falcons, I assume Matt Ryan and Julio and all those guys were a big part of the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Well, now it's a new head coach. It's a new quarterback. It's a whole new system. But again, Scotty, what you just were breaking down, it's like flipping coin. I mean, you're trying to get you and I are unique. You know why we're unique? Because I read the market. You dig deep. You go to analytics. You create your own numbers. Okay. When we try to play the mental part of the game and the Jedi mind tricks, that's when they got us. When you try to say, I think that Baltimore can't win 19 in a row, therefore I am playing the Titans. What happens? The Dodgers can't win 11 in a row. They couldn't win 10 in a row. They can't win 9 in a row.
They could win 27 out of 31.
Exactly. Field of Dreams tonight. Last year's game was, if Hollywood was scripting it, there would have only been one ever Field of Dreams game. And it was a year ago, and I remember, I know the Yankees got the walk-off, right? But someone got the lead.
White Sox got the walk-off.
White Sox. Okay, Yankees took the lead in the ninth, right?
Giancarlo Stanton hit the home run, and then Tim Anderson hit the home run to win the game.
Okay, so now no one's talking about it. It's Cincinnati and the Cubs. Field of Dreams, 8.5. It's gone to 9. Lodolo, really a -110 pick'em game against Smiley. And then the Dead Sox, a 1-gamer. And these are the funny ones because Baltimore's coming in for that 1 game. You know how you've talked about this a lot too. One of these makeup games, do they really care? They're getting ready for the weekend set against whoever. Sox are getting set for the Yankees. We're playing taps here. That's what we're doing back here. Anyways, anything on either one of those games? I mean, the Field of Dreams is an exhibition game anyways, but anything on Baltimore and the Red Sox? Or
well, Baltimore and the Red Sox are kind of a weird game because I think Kramer pitching for Baltimore, he's off a game score 71. His game score for the season is a 51. He's not pitched good against Boston in the past. I think he won't pitch good tonight. I think Winkowski's one of those guys who's very hittable as well. But I think you got a pretty good number here. I think the number's 10 as far as total. What are you going to do? Bet over 10? Baltimore's got a decent bullpen. Boston's got a bad bullpen. Boston's been not hitting. Baltimore is hitting. If you had to put a gun to my head, I would bet on Baltimore. Now, that being said, I'm not betting this game because I don't think it matters, and I think you got two terrible pitchers tonight. Kramer's not a good pitcher. So I do think that if you really wanted to look at what's going on in that Cincinnati and Chicago game, the one in the field there, the corn game, Lodolo has decided he's a good pitcher. He's a rookie pitcher that has made 9 starts. And would you believe in the 9 starts that he's made that the Reds are 6-3? He's pretty good. His last 18 innings, 18 2/3 innings, gave up 18 hits. Okay, well, that's about normal. Well, it's not always normal. I mean, Kramer in his last 20 innings gave up 27 hits. That's not very good. And Winkowski, 19 innings, 22 hits. So it kind of gives you an idea here that Lodolo's been pitching better. And I'm going to tell you this, Lodolo, 3.91 Sierra number. That's pretty good. His strikeout rate over his last month, 12.05 per 9 innings. His problem is whether he's going to walk people or not. And I can't predict that. He's off a game score 34, which is not good. So I like the idea that he's in a bounce back spot tonight. So I kind of like the idea that you could put a little bit of money, especially if you're going to watch those guys playing in the corn, to bet on Cincinnati, because I think you're getting a pretty good value with Lodolo tonight.
I was just checking the weather. The Sox, that under over was 9.5. It is up to 10 at Westgate, and I think Circa just moved theirs there as well. I don't know what we'll get more. Actually, I think more New Englanders will watch the Patriots just to see what the madness looks like. I tell you, you're getting more steam with is KD coming to Boston than people watching the Red Sox and the circus that's going on with New England. It's funny. I'm just replaying the tape back in my head. Going through the preseason. And I think, Scotty, I think it's more people are starved, not just for football, but for content. In other words, you want to be the one holding that ticket, the Golden Goose ticket. I told you so. You're bringing up Chernoff, and Chernoff and his group here are trying to come on to social media to give out a game to show that their game is moving numbers. That's the way I'm looking at it. Watch this. We're going to put this to a group of 400, and we gave it to you at 32.5. And by the time you go to play it, it goes to 33 or 34. I've seen that a couple times. I really don't know what he's trying to get, what he's trying to do or what him and his group are doing. But in these preseason games, it's just coin flips. It's not getting hurt. I mean, under overs of 30, 31, 32, 33. I mean, the biggest under over is Kansas City and the Bears at 37.5. If that was a regular season game, it would be 51 or 52. I don't know. I think it's more aggravating to me. It's just the fact that how tough baseball is right now. They have priced us out of so many games that to get into baseball is more infuriating, than anything. It's just brutal.
Well, I think the big thing in baseball is that, I talked about it last week a little bit. We always talk about the minus 150 and below line, that line. And, you and I don't give out plays that are minus 150 at all, really, until I would say until we get to this point, because the truth of the matter is you got to be really selective now, and you got to figure out where you need to be. And you're going to give out some stuff that might be minus 150, might be minus 160, might even be minus 170. That's better than forcing a run line bet, because the truth is, if you're going to lose, you're going to lose. And most people aren't out there going, I'm going to go bet minus 170 to win 100. They're out there going, my budget on this game is 100. I'm going to go play $100. Now, if I play $100 and I only get, $30 back, then that's what I get. I get $30 back. But that's my bet. And as opposed to going and saying, okay, I'm just going to keep betting, so if you bet $100 at minus 170 and you win, I don't know, whatever the number is, it's not $30, but say you win $40 and you get that $40 back, or you bet $100 to win or minus 110 on the run line and you lose that bet. It's the same loss. It's a loss of $100. But you're going to win a lot more of the minus 170s than you are the minus 1.5s. You just are. So the question then becomes is what's that fine line for you and where is that at? So that you're going to have to try to figure out the value in a number. So, for example, I said I thought that the White Sox number was good. My number was, White Sox minus 200, and it didn't. I don't think it ever made 200. I think it was like 180 or something like that. So
the overnight number was 190. The corrected number was around 165 this morning.
Yeah, so see, I saw value in the White Sox, so I'm looking at that game good, but my handicap didn't match my number, so I didn't bet it. But the point being is okay, if I would have said I think that game should be minus 200 and I can get it for minus 160 or minus 165, well, hell yeah, I'm going to bet it at minus 165. I'm going to do it. But if I'm going to make it consistent, I'm going to put $100 on that as opposed to putting $100 on the run line. Now, yeah, I take back less, but I'm going to win that a lot more than I'm going to lose, right? So the point being is that I think that when you're looking at it from here to wherever till the playoff time, you're going to run into these spots where these games are outrageously priced. So if you want to play baseball, unless you're going to make prop bets on guys, whether they get 2 hits or whether they get 2 total bases or they strike out 7 guys or somebody hits a home run or something, unless you're going to do that, then you're going to end up in this market where you're betting these games this way. And I don't think you have a choice. Otherwise, you're going to sit on the sidelines and you're going to change your opinion, right? Meaning that, okay, well, I think this is a good game and I'm going to play. I'm just going to use this as an example. I'm going to play the White Sox, even though the White Sox are batting, they're 26th in offense right now to cover a run line number. And then you sit there and you go, oh, shit, I just did that. And afterwards you go, I don't believe it. I bet on the pitcher, but yet my offense has to score enough runs. So I think that forces that run line instead of, like you said earlier, the Houston Astros are, I think, the run, you said the team total was whatever it was. Okay, well, shit, if they're going to win, that would be a good run line wager, right? Or whatever, because you're sitting there going, they're going to score runs, they're going to blah, blah, blah. So I think you can manage this correctly, but you really got to think it through to the perspective of why did I just bet a run line instead of a team total or instead of this or instead of that? Because if the only reason you did it was because it's minus 170, I didn't want to pay minus 170, I think you're in trouble.
Well, I was breaking down the Astros yesterday. Verlander, 18-3 as a starter. He was like 17-3, 16-3, first 5, and they made it impossible to get into that. He was opened up overnight at minus 300. The corrected line was like minus 250, 260, but they baited you. You could have got him on the full game run line minus 1.5, minus 130. So the average person's going to see them minus 300 overnight. They're going to see them minus 250. Hey, I'm not going to play that. They're not going to take a look and actually see how they're trying to bait you. They don't just lose, they lose outright, never mind the run line there. So that's number one. Number two, Texas and Houston today. I would like the over 5.5 because it was juiced under minus 145. They were telling you they weren't going to get to 6. They thought they'd get to 5. And I like the plus 25. Now, here's the whole thing, though. The under over was 8. And they were also telling you Texas wasn't going to get to 3. Well, Texas scores late, Houston scores late, and then the over comes in as well. So it's like one of these damned if you do, damned if you don't, Scotty. And it's like this. If you didn't like the Patriots were -2, you catch wind that the Patriots are struggling. I'm taking the Giants plus the 2. The beginning of the week. Now the Giants are -3 and the whole world's on the Giants. Well, I'm listening to people now taking the Patriots because that's the contrarian side. Am I damned if I do, damned if I don't?
Well, I think that like we always say, you have to have conviction when you go to the window. So if you are having a specific reason why you're doing it, I'm okay with it. Just like I said, those guys that got that information that says, okay, this thing's going to happen and these starters are going to play, I'm taking it to the window. They have conviction. That's what they bet on. That's what they believe in, and I'm good with that. My opinion basically is that I don't think that's the right approach, because they're not playing the whole game against a team that, like they're not playing, the first half or something when the other team's playing their third team in there and you got a whole big disadvantage, right? I don't think any of that's the case. So I do think that when you're starting to look at this stuff and you realize what you're doing, you have to separate the reasoning for the logic and bet what you think is going to happen logically. So, and I know contrarian style is not logic, right? You're betting against the logic, and I understand that. So in the preseason, for example, in these games, I just told you I didn't think, and I gave you my reason why I don't support that. The reason I don't support it is because they're not going to play long enough. They're not going to get enough snaps to score enough points to make that matter in the back half of the game when they're at a disadvantage. So, and some teams may have an advantage that way. But as you break it down and you kind of look at it, you got to look at why you do what you do, and is it the smartest bet you can make? And if it's not the smartest bet you can make and you're not convicted, don't take it to the window. If you feel like you're flip-flopping and damned if you do and damned if you don't, pass. Play on something else, or take a night off, or do whatever. Sometimes it's good to get away. Sometimes it's good to see your family. I saw my brother today for the first time in 20 years. So it is good to see certain things and make certain things happen that are unrelated to sports too. So maybe I lost Jeff. Well, if that's the case, and I lost Jeff, I don't know how these things. I don't have control over the closing button, but I will say this, as Jeff always says, if you're going to go to the window, bet responsibly. Why? Because Jeff and I care. We want you to be here today, tomorrow, and for the future. The point being is that we want you to be successful, and we want you to do things the right way, and hopefully we're guiding you towards that. And I would tell you this, we're not making a dime off of doing what we're doing. So any support, any help, any guidance and referrals, and getting people to click the buttons to get on our Twitter pages or our YouTube pages or any of those things, that would be extremely helpful. Also, any interactions that you could have with us would let us know that you're out there listening. We see the views, but it'd be great to build this up as we build to the future. As I have more availability at night, I think I'm going to be doing some nighttime stuff. So anyway, all that being said, I hope you cash some tickets tonight. Hope you guys do things very well, and Godspeed, and everybody have a great night.